all. Welcome to part 3 of Self and our 4th screencast for the week. Okay, so here we are talking about family and self. I gave a quick little nutshell version of gender. I hate how short that is, but maybe I'll actually do a gender screencast in future weeks where I can really dig in and kind of go more in depth. Okay, maybe I'll do that. It just feels criminal to do that. So let's talk about family and self. Let's get to attachment. Okay, this is huge. I've probably said that 9 times for everything. This self is just so impactful on everything. So our interactions with caregivers shape 2 dimensions of our behavior. So here's the thing. As you grow up, you form your self-concept, you form your self-esteem. And as these things start to really take hold in who we are, even though they're constantly evolving, another thing that pops out of this is our attachment style, all right? You may have heard a little bit of attachment theory in the past. It is really fascinating and it's really powerful. So the cool thing about the way that our text approaches attachment is it doesn't just throw attachment theory at you. It actually breaks down what drives it a little more, because other textbooks just kind of say self-esteem, self-concept drive your attachment. Well, it's that, but it's also this, okay? So attachment anxiety and attachment avoidance. This is really important. And as I talk about this, I would really like you to think about yourself. Think about your history. Think about the ways that you see yourself and begin to kind of pick where you're at here, all right? So attachment anxiety, the degree to which a person fears rejection by relationship partners. So this is on a spectrum. How much do you fear rejection by a relationship partner? And then you've got attachment avoidance, the degree to which someone desires close interpersonal ties. Let me just tell you this. I will use myself as an example here, okay? Not because I am exemplary, but because I'm a safe example to relate here, okay? So attachment anxiety and attachment avoidance plus / kind of come from, okay? It's not kind of, they come from. Your self-concept and your self-esteem plus your life experience will lead you in certain directions when it comes to attachment anxiety and attachment avoidance, okay? So your book talks about this. I'm going to too. This is extremely important. And folks, if you can apply this to your life and begin to analyze and assess where you're at, you can increase the quality of your relationships in life, okay? Step 1 is figuring out where you're at, okay? So you've got 4 options for attachment, okay? You've got secure, preoccupied, dismissive, and fearful. And what we're talking about here is, how do you attach to other people? How do you attach to significant others in your life? So romantic examples work really well here, okay? Secure, preoccupied, dismissive, or fearful. Let me say this right out the gate. Statistically speaking, you're probably not secure, okay? The odds are not in your favor there. You may be you may be a secure attacher, and if you are, good for you, congratulations, okay? Let me say this. After having studied interpersonal communication for as long as I have, having been in a romantic relationship as long as I have, I am more in the secure box than I used to be, but I still struggle with my main attachment style, okay? And so let's break these down a little bit here. I'm going to break these down using a chart so that it's a little easier, all right? So if you take these 4 and you put it on a thoughts of self grid, this is how they come out. I am going to relate, by the way, the anxiety and avoidance that we talked about at the beginning of this stuff. I'm going to relate that here as well. So for attachment theory, you have your thoughts of yourself and your thoughts of your partner, okay? This is another way of relating that avoidance, anxiety spectrum, all right? So a secure connector is comfortable with intimacy and autonomy. With intimacy and autonomy, and a secure attacher is going to be low anxiety, low avoidance, okay? So what it means is they are going. A secure connector is going to seek close personal ties, and they are not going to fear rejection. Does that make sense? So someone who is a secure connector, a secure attacher, they're comfortable with intimacy. They seek close ties with others. They report supportive, warm relationships. They report high self-esteem. They report confidence in their ability to communicate. So your book talks about all this, folks. The secure is where you want to be, all right? But again, chances are it's not you, okay? Take a look at your book for the rest of what the secure connector does. There's a lot there, okay? One of the marks of the secure connector is when the relational problem does happen, they can resolve it. They don't end the relationship. They actually are able to resolve it, communicate through it, work through it, and end up usually better on the other end. Okay, so that's the secure connector. That's where you want to be. I can't say today. Statistically, you're not there probably, but you may be. You may be one of the folks who's there. The good news is you can move towards it. Okay, so let's just go. Let's go clockwise. Let's go this way. Next is the preoccupied connector. Okay. The preoccupied attachment style, okay, is high anxiety, low avoidance. Okay? So they're high anxiety, they're low avoidance. They desire closeness, but they're plagued by fear of rejection. So talk about a tough place to be. Okay? So the preoccupied attachment style looks to find ways to satisfy their need for bond, their need for closeness, while minimizing risk of rejection. So they may use sexual contact to satisfy their need to feel loved. They might become a doormat in a relationship because they do not want to do anything that could possibly end the relationship. They're very careful you're preoccupied is not likely to stand up for themselves. They're not going to be free with their opinions or free with their feelings because they're very worried about ending the relationship. Okay, now this means that they will react with extreme negative emotion and a lack of trust when they're faced with a challenge in a relationship. So because of the fear of rejection, they immediately end up in that defensive space of oh my gosh, this is over. Okay, folks who are in the preoccupied have a hard time maintaining long involvements. Okay, long involvements is the word your book uses, a long relationship. Okay, and the reason why is because the fear of rejection is just too much to bear. It's not a good place to be. So here's the thing. If that's you, okay, step one, realize it. Realize that's you. And then start to do the self-esteem work. See, that's the thing. People don't realize that when it comes to attachment style, it's actually a self-esteem thing. That's why this is thoughts of self, thoughts of partner. Working on your attachment style requires you to work on yourself, your self-esteem. You may have to rewrite some self-concept. You may have to work on some implicit personal theories linking to last week. It's not just I'm going to be a secure connector now. No, that's not how it works, sadly. I wish all we had to do was change our mind. But we actually have to do some self-esteem work. You have to kind of hunt down, why are you so afraid of rejection? Why? What is that? Were you rejected and it hurt? Were you some people have a fear of abandonment. There's a lot of things that can cause that. If your parents, sometimes a divorce whenever you're young can cause you to be, and I'm not talking about you going through a divorce, I'm talking about if you're a kid and you watch your parents divorce, you might end up with a fear of rejection because you can feel rejected in that and not necessarily always have that healed. Okay, so that's the preoccupied. Down here is fearful. Fearful is high in both the attachment anxiety and avoidance. So they fear rejection, and because they fear it so much, they don't attach. They don't seek out relationships. So this one is fearful of intimacy and socially avoidant. Okay. Fearful individuals can develop close ties, but only if the relationship seems to guarantee a lack of rejection. And so when you're fearful, the walls between you actually having a relationship or not are bigger than they are for the preoccupied person. The preoccupied person still wants the relationship. They still want the closeness bad enough, they will risk the rejection. The fearful person says, yeah, I'm probably not going to do it. It's worth not getting, it's not even worth getting into it. Okay? Now, by the way, we probably all go through seasons in our lives where you may be like, yeah, dating's not worth it, screw this. That does not mean that your attachment style is fearful, okay? It means you're going through a season where you're like, you know what, is this really worth the effort? What's going on, okay? We're talking about sort of the default setting in ourselves, okay? That's what an attachment style is. It's kind of a default setting where you tend to lean, all right? Next is dismissive. Folks, this is me, all right? This is where I said I use myself as an example. This is me, okay? The dismissive attacher is low anxiety, okay? High avoidance. So the dismissive attacher says, I don't fear rejection, but I also don't need the close relational tie, okay? So the dismissive attacher views close relationships as comparatively unimportant. They still crave it, but you know, if it's over, it's over. That's me. I've struggled with it. I've worked with it, and I'm more secure than I used to be. Okay, as a connector. What it took for me, it's a long story, and I probably won't relate the whole thing. But what it took for me was realizing that I was dismissive, hunting down why. Okay, why was I dismissive? And then realizing, did I want to change or not? And I did. And then I'm working on it. Like, this is still my default. If someone's like, you know, the idea that that the dismissive attacher prioritizes self-reliance, that's me. That's one of the things that I do. You know, the book has the wording that relationship crises evoke hasty exits. I don't need this kind of hassle. I said those words over and over again as a younger version of myself, dating, trying to, like, still seeking emotional connection, but also prizing self-reliance more than that. I don't need the hassle. Everybody seemed like they were codependent to me. Every person I dated seemed clingy and codependent, and I'm like, why can't you just do you, you know? And they come to realize that really all they wanted to do was emotionally connect. That's all they wanted to do. I actually dated one young woman who was a secure connector, and she freaked me out because I did not understand how I didn't understand why you would be that way. And then realizing later, oh, that was actually healthy what that person was trying, and I didn't understand. So, folks, the good news about attachment theory is that you can realize where you're at and you can work to do better. And so read about this in your text, and if you're fascinated by it, do a little bit of research. There are so many things online you can read for free. There are books you can buy. This is a well that you can dive into that can actually lead to some really good healing and really good communication. That's what's ironic here is self-esteem work is what it takes usually to get to the secure box, and communication is a central piece of this. Okay, so as we get almost done here, I am going to stop, and then we will finish up in one more screencast. Okay, I'll see you in the last one.